The novel Shit Show is told through multiple narrators in a series of short, sharp chapters. It begins in Moscow before the Russian Revolution and ends in New York City nearly a century later. It is history, humor, mystery, intrigue, lots of sex, some good, some not so good, and 4 days of rock and roll at Woodstock. I'm going to read the closing section, the closing scene of this novel. It opens in an office on the 102nd floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center, just after the North Tower was hit. Most of those who tried to duck out were turned back at the Sky Lobby and told to wait in their office until the North Tower was completely evacuated. Eric's young assistant was among them. "Look who chickened out," one of the proofreaders teased when the youth returned. "Yeah, they caught me." He grinned embarrassed. "They got cops in the Sky Lobby. I should have sneaked down the stairs instead." "Hey, Eric, we're toasting." An older associate pointed at 3 expensive bottles of chilled champagne he got from the caterers. He poured it out to fellow workers in small plastic cups. Although he was operating on zero sleep, Eric Stein was energized that the IPO was finally done. After years of negotiating with teams of lawyers, accountants, and bankers, it was finally signed. He knocked back a few shots of the bubbly before it started catching up. "Mr. Stein," the Vogue model secretary called out, "I got Mr. Odin on the line. He'd like to speak to you." Odin was his boss. The secretary pointed to an extension. Although his cell phone wasn't working, apparently the ground lines were. "I just heard that a plane crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Are you okay?" Odin asked. Eric could hear the news broadcasting in Odin's office. "Yeah, fortunately, we're in the tower that wasn't hit." "Thank God," Odin said. "Was it a Cessna?" "No, I think it was a commercial airline," he replied and added, "but if the Empire State Building could withstand an Air Force bomber crashing into it, I'm sure the North Tower is going to be fine." "So the deal's done?" "Yeah, all parties have signed." Eric knocked back another cup of champagne. "But we can't leave till they empty the other building." "Sounds like you're under attack," Odin half-kidded. "Yeah, under attack by $500 million. "Well, congratulations, boy. You did it. This is a very important deal for all of us." "Things are still hopping around here, so I should run." All the coffee and champagne was going right to his bladder, and he had to piss something fierce. "Once you get back up here, we're going to seriously celebrate." When Eric hung up, the secretary said to him, "Mr. Land is asking if you could join him in his office for a moment." "Is it urgent?" "I think he just wants to celebrate," she said with a naughty smile. "Could you direct me to the men's room first?" He rose. She pointed to the door. 2 guys were leaving as he went inside. It was empty. Eric walked to the end of a long line of vacant marble urinals. As he unzipped and let out a deep sigh and thought, life from here on end is going to get much easier. He was very probably next in line for a partnership, and any question of divorce was over. And this year he could finally buy instead of lease a new car. Just as he was calming down, he thought of Odin's joke. "Sounds like you're under attack." Wouldn't it be amazing if this was an attack? When first constructed, the Twin Towers were the 2 tallest buildings in the world. It was a crystal clear day. How the fuck could the pilot not see them? How could he even be flying this low over Manhattan? What if someone deliberately flew a plane into the first tower? He thought, no, it's too ridiculous. That would require tremendous work and planning, and the Twin Towers are a single pair of buildings. If someone had ordered a pilot to fly a plane into the first tower, the same person would probably have the power to order someone else to fly a second plane into the other tower, my tower. Eric had finished pissing, but just stood there, slightly intoxicated, just holding his penis. He was frozen at the possibility that another plane at that moment was flying right toward his building. He thought about his wife and his son and finally pulled up his zipper. As he washed his hands and stared at himself in the mirror, he thought, this is ridiculous. The tiny cups of champagne if they hadn't unhinged him just enough from the grip of the moment, he wouldn't even be thinking this. But now the thoughts wouldn't stop. If I quickly walked into the hallway, if I didn't even go back for my briefcase or make eye contact with anybody or respond if anyone called out to me, if I just headed out of the office and down the hall to the corner staircase, if I calmly walked down all those stairs and flights, holding the banister in case I slipped, and finally got out of the building, he envisioned doing this and chuckled hysterically. It would make me the laughing stock of the office for all time. Then he took a deep breath and thought, so fucking what? It wouldn't affect the IPO, and that's all that mattered to Odin, and he's the only one who could fire me. But what are the odds that all this was really happening, he thought. Probably the same odds as being hit by a meteor. Edna, his wife, had always said that he had an obsessive mind and he always thought too far outside the box. And usually that helped him, but this would take the fucking cake. Still, if a plane did crash into the skyscraper, those who didn't burn to death would suffer serious smoke inhalation. As he grabbed a brown paper towel and quickly dried his hands, he felt woozy. The room was spinning. Fuck it, he thought. Play it safe, apologize later, just walk out the door and down the stairs. He closed his eyes so he couldn't see himself in the mirror, and just waited to see what he was going to do. Thank you.